Today's podcast is brought to you by StrongHeartAcademy.com, where no heart is no victory. We are also brought to you by BJJ To Go. If you want to build your game and learn jiu-jitsu, go to bjjtogo.com. Third thing we're brought to you by is Rat Bat. Got rats? Want to kill bats? Kill them with a rat bat. Fourth thing we're brought to you by is hot dog flavored water ingredients. If you want to add it to your smoothie, hot dog flavor ingredient. Okay, so today I want to talk about when you're in a relationship and it's been a long time. You know, like I would say, I don't even know how long people start getting lazy. Sometimes it happens real fast. You know, when you first date a girl and you're a guy, everyone's on their best behavior for a while. You know, everyone's trying to put their best foot forward. And the way that I kind of feel like that is like you're trying to show your ideal self. But it's like people stop trying to be the ideal self. And I feel like that's a mistake for a couple of reasons. Is, you know, it's like first impressions are important and definitely all have faults. But if no one goes on a first date and just like starts telling them all your faults, like, oh, I have extreme anxiety, I eat chalk, or, you know, like whatever your problem is. Nope, you know, you don't bring that out, and I get that. But what I'm saying is, like, you know, people stop dating. You know, when you're married, and maybe you even have kids, unless you're 10 years in, it's like you stop treating your wife like a girlfriend. And I think that for me, like, one of the tricks is, I've been married since 2008, and I've been with the same woman since 2003. So we were together a while before I married, but and I feel like, you know, I constantly try to date my wife, and I try to treat her like a girlfriend. And you know, like I still try to open the door for her. I still try to get dates. You know, it's harder with kids because you have to find someone to watch the kids. And, you know, if your parents live out of town, you know, then, you know, grandparents are great because they want to watch their grandkids. Like, it's fun for them, you know, hopefully, for the most part. You know, so I've been fortunate that I have awesome in-laws, and then my parents live close, like really close. But I've done tons of babysitters in the past too, when my parents weren't as close. You know, we're going to be a late night or something. And even to this day, like, it goes a couple weeks or a month or so, and they're not getting a date. I'm like, we got to get a date. I try to do it at least, I think it's good, twice a month. And I know that's like, it could be expensive for sure, but then it could be just as much as like, hey, let's go for a walk. Let's go for a hike. Let's just hang out together, just us. And that's the other thing is, like, when you have kids, you know, they always want to be involved. And it's not bad to have family time, like we're all together, but you have to make time just for her. And it's just the way it is. And when you start getting lazy and you don't do those things, I feel like they get lazy. They're like, well, why should I be in shape? Why should I get dressed up? I don't have a reason to get dressed up. You know, why should I don't know, do the things that you appreciate if you're not going to do things that I appreciate? You know, and you can get stuck in that thing. And then you can also get stuck in the things like, you know, oh, she's not doing whatever, so I'm not going to date her, like do those things that she appreciates, and vice versa, and back and forth. And I think it's a dangerous trap. And, you know, you get older, and I think you just get complacent. And you can do that in a job too. You just get in cruise control, and nothing ever good happens with that. In your job, you don't go forward. You get tired. You get bored of it. It's not. It's not ideal. It's not an ideal situation, and you know, I feel women need to feel appreciated. And I don't want to get yelled at for like, you're telling us how well you need to feel. But I really do feel like that's important. Everyone needs to feel appreciated. But if you're putting no effort into it, it's like so easy to just like take them for granted that they're still around. It's like a roommate. You sometimes I think old couples, they turn into like roommates. And there's no spark, and part of the spark is like, how did the spark happen originally? Well, you were dating them, you were taking them places, you're doing these goofy classes together. I was making fun of one of my students because they were doing like a metal workshop or something. They did like a glass blowing workshop, but actually that's awesome. I was just joking with them, and but like, I'm like, that's cool, like you should do stuff together. It doesn't always have to be. I get it. It can be expensive, and if times are tough, but you just got to be more creative. Go to the park, hang out, play. Find a game you like to play together. Play cards. Movies are like a tricky one. If you go out to movies, it's better. But like they always say Netflix and chill, but it's, you're not really talking and interacting with each other is the problem, I think, with that. You got to interact with each other. I used to go to movies all the time by myself pre-pandemic, and my wife used to make fun of me, but I was always like, I don't want to talk during a movie. Like, I just want to enjoy the movie. I can go whenever I want. I don't have to wait for someone. I'm not getting dressed up. It's cheaper. I go to matinees, so... Yeah, I'm not. I do like to go into movies with my wife. Last Saturday we went to Ari for sure. Ari comedy. We used to go to a lot of comedy, and so it's been a while. So it was really fun for me. She actually didn't like him very much. I thought he was hilarious, but I love comedy shows. I always feel like, why wouldn't you want to laugh? And you could have some drinks and just loosen up. And if there's a lot of tension between you two, I always felt like comedy's great as to break that tension, and it just, I feel like, and then you can go have dinner afterwards, and it just kind of opens dialogue with each other. You got to talk. You have to talk. I know dudes, you don't want to talk, but you have to, or listen. Actually, more, they don't even want you to talk. They want you to listen. But being present, and that's a hard one for me personally. I work all the time, and I enjoy working all the time, but, sometimes my family gets shafted because I'm not around as much, but I try to make designated time for them, for my kids, but also for my wife. And I think it's just, again, people just get complacent and lazy, and then you start growing apart, and that's dangerous. And the longer you do that, the more you start growing apart, and it's harder to get back together. Like, harder to bring, and I don't mean like breaking up, but I mean like you could just have this situation where like it's like a loveless relationship or whatever, and you're just there together. I'm like, oh, that's not good, So you need to be playful with each other, and when you're first dating, you might have nicknames for each other. You might, I grab my wife's butt every day. And I kiss her every day. And I tell her I love her every single day. And it's just easy, I think, to get away from those. I try to hold her hand. I try to do all those things. Now, I don't write her poetry or anything. I used to do that, but my grammar's so bad, she used to make fun of me. And then I got self-conscious about it, so I just stopped doing that one. And I'm probably not going to do that again, just because it's like, I don't know, put myself out there, and she was just like made fun of it or whatever. But also, I don't think it was something that she appreciates, and not that's a bad thing either. Just like it's not her thing, If you look into those love languages, I really believe in that too. You don't even need to read the book. There's just like a small synopsis of every single, people's love languages. And once you kind of figure that out too, that makes life a little easier. And usually it's something that you lacked growing up, that you're seeking many times. And, that your mom didn't give you or your father didn't give you. And then you're like seeking that out. And it's a weird kind of dynamic, but if you kind of understand that, you don't have to get too into psychology, but it makes, when you're trying to make effort, understanding where the avenue to make your effort at, so like even like gifts, some people appreciate gifts. I'm fortunate that my wife is not into like fancy stuff, but even that, like if you're poor, you don't have a lot of money, you can make things, for them. And again, it takes effort. Like it's like people don't want to do the effort, and they're tired and they're worn out and all these things, but you got to go back to like when you first started dating that person. And then I feel like, guys get lazy, and then women don't dress up anymore, and they don't put the makeup on, and they don't try to look nice for you, and because you're not appreciating them, you're not putting the effort in, and they get like, oh, why do I, why would I want to do that? And I kind of feel like I understand that concept. Like, why would I do that if you're not even want to hang out with me? You don't want to do the things that we used to do. So, anyway, that's all. I don't have a long one today. I've just been thinking about that lately, and because we just went on a date this Saturday, and then the pandemic was hard, because a lot of places were closed. You couldn't do anything, and then if your personal, belief was like, hey, you don't want to be in public, and that would dampen things too. And I know like the pandemic hurt a lot of relationships, and people were stuck together when they had more space because everyone's working from home. And I felt like that changed some dynamics too, but not always for the positive, because everyone does need space, I think. You can get sick of anybody if you're just face-to-face all the time. Even like a best friend, you don't want to be around them 24 hours a day. You need your space, but I still think you can walk around the block, although there are certain times of the pandemic I saw people like jogging with masks on. But whatever, put your mask on, hold hands, walk around the block, wear gloves while you're holding hands if you have to. I don't know. But I think the connection is so important. You got to make those connections. And if you don't, I think you could pay the price of separating. And, so many people break up and get divorced. Like the numbers are insane. But I don't think that's a thing that people want. And grass isn't always greener on the other side. Grass is greener where you water it. And that's coming from a landscaper. I used to do landscaping. So, we get that in jiu-jitsu too. It's like grass is greener on the other side. They want to jump ship. So it's like, well, are you putting any effort into where you train? Are you helping your teammates? Your teammates helping you, But that's like a relationship and marriage too, is like that, You're looking elsewhere, but like, you look where you're at. What are you doing there to make that flourish? What are you doing to make that relationship better? So yeah, I mean, this year I went to, we went to a bluegrass festival. I was going to do a podcast on that too. I still might. And that was in like September. And, just me and my wife went for like 3 days. And I didn't realize that me and my wife haven't been on a vacation since before the kids were born, and I have an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old. So that's a long time. We would do family vacations, but not just us get away. So we went up to Flagstaff. It was beautiful up there, and it wasn't even that extravagant. We went to 3 days of a bluegrass festival, and we had a hotel, and but we were just hanging out and just us, and it was very nice. It was a good time, and my wife really appreciated it. She didn't say, I could just tell she was so happy to just us being together. And when you have kids, like they're like between the two of you. They're like in between both of you sometimes, and that's just the dynamic that happens. So you have to keep remembering, like, it was you two first, and and just being a mom, that just like natural, like that's how a mom is. Like, they're always gonna put the kids first, before themselves. So I don't know how many moms, like, kids eat first and then moms eat. There's a lot of sacrifice that women do for their children. So you need to acknowledge that, but also make time for them and her. And I don't. It's hard to give the other perspective because I'm a man, but I think as a woman, then I think, or as a man, I think you would appreciate if she puts the effort on, and gets dolled up. And I think sometimes women, it's fun to have a reason to get dolled up too. Well, I'm just gonna do that. Like, just walk around the house. I'm not going anywhere. Why should I put makeup on? Why should I get dressed up? Just wear sweatpants. I get it. So give them a reason to get dressed up and have and get fancy for the night and all that kind of stuff. Again, even if you're going for hikes, still change your clothes, exercise clothes. It's nice just to be out in sunshine. Phoenix is so nice right now. Arizona, the weather is ridiculous. 70 degrees, so nice. 60 degrees, 70 degrees. Maybe 50s in the morning, 50s, 40s at night. That's not that cold. Most of the country is under snow right now. So, get outside and enjoy the weather with your loved one. And again, that's a nice cheap date you can do. And find those things that you have in common and pursue those things. I think it's a worthwhile endeavor. And I think it'll strengthen your relationship, and hopefully, you'll just grow together instead of apart. And people definitely change, and that's not a bad thing too. But hopefully, you change in a positive way, and you both appreciate the changes that your spouse will be going through as growing up as a human being, mentally and physically. So anyway, that's all I had for today, and hope you enjoyed it. Leave in the comments, like, dates. Maybe you can give me some dating ideas, some new ideas. Sometimes it's like, half the time I do these dates, it's like the day of I come up with the idea of what we're going to do. So, strategic planning isn't a huge thing for me. So I would love some comments. Tell me some places that you guys like to go to that are fun, things you guys like to do together, and just leave those in the comments, and then subscribe, share, and all that jazz. Thank you. Peace.
Let me talk for just a second, help me feel that sense of rhythm. Find the meanings in our bearings and discover this position as a stage along the way. Another rung to the ladder, either stalling or you're climbing, and I'd rather be the latter. Instead of getting fatter, let the footsteps resume naturally.